Beginning of the story, the White Demon Castle loomed, where the demon goddess, known as the Goddess of Darkness named Helios, flew in the air. Furiously, she called for the main protagonist of the story, Chen Bai. Chen asked, "What?" Helios responded that his failure in the mission had put her in a bad mood, so he should go to hell now. Surprised, Chen asked again, "What?" Then, realizing the gravity of the situation, he tensed up. Chen then asked Lady Goddess Helios to wait and requested another chance, citing his past accomplishments. Helios responded that lowly humans had no right to request opportunities, and she declared that his white magic castle would be obliterated along with the darkness. Suddenly, black waves began to rise at the White Demon Castle, enveloping Chen from all sides and dragging him downwards into the river of darkness. As he was pulled by the waves, he wondered how, despite nearly completing a task for the Lady Goddess, one failure meant he was going to be wiped out simply because he was a lowly human. He then decided to refuse to accept his fate and started laughing hysterically. Just before being consumed fully by the darkness of the water, he defiantly showed his middle finger to Lady Goddess Helios and shouted that he would destroy her no matter what. After that, within the darkness of the water, there was endless blackness, and Chen was sinking into it. Suddenly, his hourglass locket activated, and miraculously, Chen woke up in his bed, still furiously shouting at Lady Goddess Helios. Upon seeing his surroundings, Chen was shocked and began to wonder how he wasn't dead yet and where he was. After analyzing the room carefully, he realized that it was his dorm from his college days. So he started wondering how he ended up there and why he wasn't killed by Lady Goddess Helios. The decades of turmoil felt so real to him that he began to question if it could have been a dream, right? Suddenly, his focus shifted to his hourglass locket, and he noticed something strange. He remembered that the hourglass was the item he obtained 20 years after the arrival of the Universal Will when the trial began. He also remarked that the hourglass was the most unique item he had ever seen. It couldn't display his attributes and couldn't be destroyed, so he always kept it with him. He carefully looked at the hourglass and wondered. He remembered that the sand was at the bottom, and it wouldn't flow even when turned upside down. But now, to his surprise, it was at the top. So he interpreted that the time was reversing, and then he curiously checked the time. After looking, he found that it was the day of June 5th, 2032, just 10 days before the arrival of the Universal Will and the start of the apocalypse. Chen shared that in 10 days, on June 15th, the Universal Will would officially arrive and begin the apocalypse. During this time, more than 90% of humanity would perish, and the deceased would transform into various zombies and monsters. He also explained that all conventional weapons would fail against them. The whole world would witness its demise in just one night. However, amidst the dangers of the universal apocalypse, there were also opportunities. Those who survived would awaken innate abilities within themselves. Many magical equipment and items from various realms would also descend to Earth along with the Universal Will. These treasures attracted the attention of a god who controlled the rules of the universe. He also shared that since these gods couldn't directly intervene in the trial, they attracted humans under the guise of protection, attempting to gain benefits from it. Chen then revealed that in his previous life, he wasn't strong enough. So after much struggle, he finally joined under Lady Goddess Helios's command. He desperately completed the tasks she assigned, trying to enhance his status, but he never expected to be erased just because of one failed mission. After that, he received some news on his mobile. People were talking about a new type of disease that resembled rabies or zombies from a movie. The second news he got was that patients in Zhangcheng Hospital were going crazy and biting people. Lastly, an unbelievable event occurred. A body in the middle of a forensic dissection woke up. After reading all that, he stood up and decided that this time he had to become much stronger so that he didn't need to rely on others. He vowed to become strong enough to even make the demon goddess Helios bow beneath his feet. With determination in his heart, he headed towards the hospital for some work. While on the way, Chen shared that 10 years after the trial began, someone claimed to have discovered the only way to upgrade innate abilities. This person said that 10 days before the trial began, the innate abilities actually became effective. If one discovers and utilizes their innate abilities during this time, they could upgrade them. In his previous life, his innate ability was an E-rank virus resistance. According to that method, he thinks to upgrade his innate ability, he must use the virus to trigger and strengthen it in advance. After reaching the hospital, Chen saw the doctor and nurse talking with each other about the disease. The doctor said that he had never seen such strange symptoms before. They were truly unprecedented. The nurse also responded, saying she felt like the patient was just like in the movies. So Chen approached the patient's room, and upon reaching, he saw that the patient was tied with ropes to the stretcher. Chen soon realized that the patient had turned into a zombie. With a syringe in his hand, Chen prepared to take out its blood. While taking out the blood, Chen told the zombie that to utilize and train his virus resistance innate ability, he could only rely on himself. After extracting a generous amount of blood, he thought that it would be enough for him to trigger his innate ability. So he waited for some time until the hospital got some free space. When he finally got some free space, he realized that there was no one in the dormitory, as they had stayed up all night. While going to inject the zombie's blood into himself, he felt a little hesitant, as if the theory was wrong, he might just die there. But soon, he decided to forget about the consequences and just use it. Without hesitation, he injected the blood into his hand. While injecting, he wondered about his struggles before the reset, enduring decades as a weakling, barely surviving until he finally made some progress. If he awakened an E-rank innate ability this time, even if he knew the future, he feared missing opportunities due to being too weak. So, dying would be much better than starting over and still being weak. Suddenly, after injecting the blood, he collapsed on the ground. Then, he woke up in the same place, the White Demon Castle, where Helios was asking him to give up resistance and embrace the darkness as a lowly human. Being part of the darkness was his most fitting end. But this time, Chen somehow managed to stand up and responded to Helios furiously, questioning how he could fall at such a crucial moment in chance. Then, the scene shifted back to the hospital, and Chen regained consciousness, walking strangely. Some people entered the room and were stunned to see Chen Bai, his nerves seemingly protruding from every end, with blood coming out from his eyes and mouth. One of these people recognized Chen Bai, so he tensely asked Chen Bai what was going on. Chen was stunned to see the boy for a second, and then happily asked if he was back. Chen then said he was going to wash his face first. The boy responded with an okay. In the washroom, he looked at himself in the mirror and started to feel happy as the theory had proven true and it worked. The zombie virus didn't kill him, and his innate ability had fully upgraded successfully. Chen then wondered what level his innate ability would be after awakening. Suddenly, to his surprise, he heard a voice congratulating him on being selected as a pioneer, receiving the title of Pioneer and awakening in advance. Hearing this, he realized it was the voice of the universal will, and he felt happy that he had successfully awakened. So, he commanded to open the title interface, and a screen appeared in front of him, displaying information about being a pioneer. It was stated that those who could discover, utilize, and train their abilities before the trial began could possess this title. Their attributes were increased by 5%, and experience gain increased by 10%. Additionally, they could awaken the attribute panel in advance. Reading this, Chen felt happy about the percentage boost, realizing it was a perfect title for him. Then, he commanded to open the panel of the innate ability, where his ability level showed as SSS, indicating he possessed a great amount of power within himself. In the story, the virus monarch stood out as the mightiest skill in the virus element. It could absorb, utilize, manipulate, transform, and even create viruses. However, at that time, Chen possessed only the ability to absorb viruses, and the range of absorption was quite limited. Chen mentioned that he needed a large amount of virus to boost his ability, and naturally, the hospital was the best place to acquire viruses. However, as he made his way back to the hospital, he was momentarily stunned. He saw a crowd of people rushing towards him, some pleading for help, while others urged him to flee. Everywhere was chaotic, with people scrambling to save their lives. As Chen ran, someone shouted to him about a zombie outbreak, claiming it was the end of the world. His surprise turned into realization as he remembered something important. Chen recounted that in his previous life, he had heard people discussing 3 strange incidents that occurred in Zhangcheng before the trial began. One of them was the sealed hospital. He then realized that it must be the sealed hospital and eagerly began running towards the area infested with zombies. Seeing this, some bystanders were stunned and asked him tensely what he was doing. But he didn't listen to anyone and charged directly towards the zombies. Grabbing one of them, he began absorbing its virus. As he did, his virus monarch talent skill started accruing points, which could be used to strengthen it. After absorbing one, he went after every other zombie, shouting that no zombie could escape from him. Meanwhile, on the 4th floor of the hospital building, in the restroom, zombies were attacking people. The scene showed zombies attacking and beating at the door of the restroom. Inside, there were 2 people named Liu Feng, the director of the hospital, and a nurse named Sujin. The director Liu tensely told Sujin that it was over, as the door wouldn't hold much longer. Deep down, he knew there was no way out, so they assumed they were doomed. Liu then turned his face towards Sujin, his eyes filled with lust as he laughed. Meanwhile, Sujin was crying and wondering what they should do. Suddenly, she saw Director Liu's face and his strange actions, and asked what was wrong with him. Liu then approached her with a sinister grin, saying that he had pursued her for so long, but she never agreed. Now that they were about to die, he suggested she let him enjoy himself before their demise. Stunned to hear his words, Sujin asked Liu if he had lost his mind, questioning the nonsense he was talking about. But before Liu could respond, the zombies broke through the door, ready to enter. At that moment, Liu became tense, shouting that it wasn't possible, as it wasn't his time to die yet. Panicking, he grabbed Sujin's hand and used her as a shield in front of the zombies, yelling that he didn't want to die, so someone had to. After throwing her towards the zombies, he started running. But with no other way out, he found himself facing a window. Tensely, he prepared to jump from the 4th-floor window to escape. He attempted to jump, but he got stuck in the window and was attacked by the zombies. The scene then shifted to 7 minutes later, where people who had been bitten by the zombies were lying dead on the ground, and Chen also arrived at the scene. Chen noticed a medical staff girl who appeared to be unharmed. Realizing that she had likely been recently bitten by a zombie, he understood that there might still be some time before she turned. Considering the imminent arrival of the military to seal the area, he concluded that he needed someone familiar with the layout of the hospital to navigate. He decided to try sucking out all the virus from her to see if that could prevent her from turning into a zombie. With determination, he absorbed all the virus from her, and to his surprise, she was saved, waking up shortly after. Chen noticed that his plan had succeeded, and he felt a sense of relief and happiness. Sujin thanked Chen for saving her, to which Chen asked if she hadn't lost all consciousness. Sujin responded with a yes, indicating that she was aware of what had happened. Chen then told Sujin that he needed her help with something for the time being. Sujin responded that she had no problem helping him, but first, she wanted to change her clothes. Hearing this, Chen grabbed Sujin's hand and started pulling her, insisting there wasn't enough time for that. He urged her to take him to the place in the hospital with the most viruses. Sujin complied and led him to the laboratory. In the laboratory, Sujin explained that it was the place where the hospital stored most of the viruses and where all clinical samples from patients were tested. Chen then collected some viruses and assured her that she didn't need to explain, as it should be enough for him. He poured all the viruses into a beaker and mixed them. Seeing this, Sujin became surprised and scared, asking what he was trying to do. Chen asked her to be quiet for a moment. He then drank the mixed viruses, and afterward, his ability increased again, gaining some points. The viruses were a mixture of the hepatitis virus, influenza virus, herpes virus, and HIV virus. After absorbing all the viruses, his next aim was to strengthen the zombie virus with them. He looked at his point screen, which showed that he had 5 options to upgrade: Ancestor virus, Decay virus, T-virus, Cocci-virus, and Dark Light virus. After considering all of them, he concluded that the most beneficial upgrade for enhancing his strength at the moment was the Dark Light virus. He selected the Dark Light virus for upgrading and explained that it was a virus primarily focused on devouring and evolving. While he was busy with his tasks, suddenly Sujin shouted that zombies were approaching the laboratory door. Upon hearing this, Chen instructed Sujin not to move from her place. He then approached the zombie and grabbed it by the neck to absorb the virus. Seeing Chen's actions, Sujin became confused about what he was doing. As he absorbed the virus, Chen noticed that the absorption process was faster than before. Despite the zombie weighing about 150 pounds, he didn't feel any difficulty in lifting it at all. He saw it as a good opportunity to test his new ability on the zombie. With determination, he used the Dark Light virus ability on the zombie. As he did, black waves resembling branches emerged and began devouring the zombie completely. In a matter of seconds, the entire zombie's body was devoured and absorbed into his own. Chen felt invigorated, noticing the rapid absorption speed and even experiencing some stamina recovery. Meanwhile, on the other side, Sujin trembled in fear at the sight of him. She nervously asked him what he had just done. Chen, smiling, casually asked her what was wrong. Sujin let out a sigh of relief and expressed gratitude, stating that he had saved her. She believed that he wouldn't harm her, so she was willing to help him keep his secrets. Chen extended his hand to help her stand up and introduced himself as Chen Bai. Sujin also introduced herself to Chen Bai. Suddenly, Chen heard some sounds, indicating that it was the military personnel. Realizing this, Chen shared with Sujin that it seemed like the military and police had arrived at the hospital. They must have sealed off the area and were clearing out the zombies, so he told her that they should leave too. He then again held her hand and started running. While running, he asked her to take him to the rooftop as they would leave from there. Sujin, confused, asked why they couldn't just leave directly since they hadn't turned into zombies. Chen responded that he didn't have time to be isolated and questioned by the military and police. To their surprise, another type of problem was heading their way. Suddenly, much to their shock, a strange creature appeared in front of them. Seeing the mutant, Chen was shocked, especially when it attacked him suddenly. He realized it was a bad timing for them to clash. Sujin was stunned by the sight of the creature and didn't know what to do. The mutant then stood up on its legs, ready to fight them. As the mutant suddenly attacked, blood began to pour from his hand. Nevertheless, he continued to smile, intrigued by the sight of the mutant before him, pondering what sort of evolution the blacklight virus would undergo by assimilating the mutant. As the mutant advanced to attack, Chen leaped to dodge the strike and countered with a swift kick aimed at its head. However, the mutant proved to be highly agile. Before Chen could regain his footing, it lashed out with a slashing attack towards him. Miraculously, Chen managed to evade the attack. Drawing his weapon imbued with the power of the zombies, he realized the mutant matched his prowess. Nevertheless, he unleashed a powerful punch at the mutant, giving it his all. The punch only inflicted minor damage. Chen prepared to launch another attack, aware that if it didn't work, dealing with the mutant would be a lengthy process. As the mutant rose from the damage, Chen focused on healing himself for the next round of combat. Surprisingly, Sujin smashed the emergency box glass with her elbow and retrieved the ace from within. She shouted for Chen Bai to focus on her and hurled the axe towards him. Simultaneously, the mutant moved in to attack him. Chen swiftly dodged the assault, simultaneously catching the axe hurled by Sujin. Grateful for her intervention, he thanked Sujin as he prepared to counter the mutant's next move. He initiated his assault on the mutant, declaring that it was now their brawl. With the axe in hand, he launched a series of attacks, darting around the mutant. Finally, he aimed a throw at the mutant's leg, causing it to halt and clutch the wound. In a moment of respite, Chen relaxed and remarked with a smile that it was surprising the mutant still held on in such circumstances. He then positioned his leg on the mutant's head, preparing to deliver the decisive blow by severing its head. As Chen made jests, cautioning the mutant not to leave any wounds untreated and to be vigilant when his death anniversary was nigh, he inadvertently provided the mutant with the opportunity to heal. Suddenly, the mutant retaliated with full force, launching a powerful counterattack against Chen. Colliding with the wall, Chen expelled blood from his mouth, the axe slipping from his grasp. Witnessing this, Sujin grew frightened and tense, her concern mounting for Chen. To everyone's surprise, Chen remained unfazed, wearing a smile even in the face of adversity. He contemplated that when one was on the brink of death, there was no choice but to embrace it, finding a strange sort of greatness in the inevitability of mortality. Addressing the mutant, Chen inquired if it desired to tear him apart. Confusion flickered in the mutant's eyes as suddenly dark branching waves emerged from Chen's stomach, ensnaring the mutant within their grasp. Chen unleashed his evolution-devouring power on the mutant, causing it to howl in agony. Observing the creature's suffering, Chen remarked that it had finally become afraid of him, though it was too late. Gradually, Chen consumed the entire mutant, leaving nothing behind. Sujin, shocked and terrified by the scene before her, still found the courage to praise Chen Bai for his remarkable feat. As the devouring process concluded, it became evident that Chen had absorbed a second-stage clawed zombie. The transformation of the blacklight virus continued, and upon completion, Chen acquired the bone claw ability characteristic of the clawed zombie. To his surprise, Chen's hands now resembled deadly claws. In that moment, Chen felt a surge of happiness, realizing that choosing the blacklight virus had been the best decision he ever made. As the military arrived on the scene, they inquired whether Chen and Sujin were alive, instructing them to raise their hands if they were. Frustration flickered across Chen's face at the demand. The military reiterated their command, warning that if there was no response after counting to 3, they would open fire. Staring defiantly at the military, Chen quickly scooped Sujin into his arms and urged her to hold on tightly. Without hesitation, he bolted into action, prompting the military to open fire. Tension mounted as Sujin urgently directed Chen to turn right, pointing towards a safe passage leading to the rooftop. As they fled, Chen was struck by bullets, causing Sujin to tense up and alert him to his injuries. Chen, maintaining his focus, calmly acknowledged the situation, opting to remain silent and motionless as they pressed forward. After a few intense minutes, they reached the rooftop, where Chen broke open the door with a powerful kick. Catching his breath, Chen turned to Sujin and inquired about her home. Sujin quickly provided her address: Rongfeng Neighborhood, North 4th Road, Nanbai Street. Chen nodded in acknowledgement, then swiftly sprinted and leaped off the rooftop. Sujin, stunned and fearful, instinctively wrapped her arms around Chen Bai as they plummeted. The scene then transitioned to Nanbai Street, arriving at Sujin's house. Upon entering her room, Sujin pointed out the bathroom and offered to assist Chen in cleaning his wounds. Chen reassured her, explaining that the bullets had not lodged inside and his injuries had already healed. He encouraged her not to worry, indicating that he was fine. Sujin insisted, her concern overriding any sense of embarrassment. Chen acquiesced with a nod and removed his shirt as she requested. As she examined his wounds, Sujin couldn't help but feel a bit flustered. She pointed out the remaining marks and traces of wounds on his hand, urging him to take a closer look. Glancing at his chest and stomach, Sujin suggested Chen inspect those areas as well, claiming they hadn't healed properly. In truth, she found herself drawn to him, particularly mesmerized by his defined six-pack physique. Chen, in a light-hearted tone, teased Sujin, asking if he would immediately recover if he ate her, and jokingly questioned if she was willing to sacrifice herself for him. Sujin, feeling flustered by his playful banter, awkwardly responded that he wouldn't eat her. remarking that if he were going to, he would have already done so. To Sujin's surprise, Chen suddenly drew close to her and whispered in her ear, revealing that her assumption was incorrect. He confessed that he hadn't eaten her earlier because the circumstances hadn't been quite suitable for it. Sujin, taken aback by Chen's revelation, felt a surge of excitement and found herself at a loss for words. Suddenly, to her surprise, Chen removed the torn cloth from her body, indicating that now the environment was conducive to his earlier suggestion. Chen once more inquired if Sujin would be willing to sacrifice herself to help him recover. Though Sujin didn't explicitly say yes, she avoided the question by diverting the topic, suggesting they clean up instead and remarking that it was a good idea. Chen interpreted Sujin's response as an indirect yes, understanding her reluctance to say it outright due to embarrassment. With a nod of acknowledgement, he leaned in and initiated a kiss, igniting a passionate moment between them. They shared a deep connection, culminating in an intimate encounter. However, amidst their intimacy, Chen Bai's phone began to ring incessantly, bombarded with message notifications. Chen Bai's friends, Zhao and Song Ge, messaged him, expressing concern for his well-being. Song Ge inquired if he was all right, having heard from another friend that he had visited Jiangcheng Hospital. Meanwhile, Zhao shared that the school's #1 beauty, Song Ge, had been asking about him, prompting curiosity about his whereabouts. The scene shifted to some time later, where Chen wandered in the market. As he walked, he shared about the strange occurrences that had happened in Jiangcheng before the trial. He mentioned the sealed hospital, the suburban bombing, and the monstrous slaughterhouse, admitting that he didn't know much about these three things. He also wondered why he had very little information about what had happened before the trial's arrival, and nobody seemed to care about it as it was just occasionally mentioned in casual conversations. He became tense, pondering over those things, and even started to develop a headache. Chen then received a call from Sujin. When he answered, he shared that he had bought breakfast for them, so he would be there soon. But Sujin didn't call him to ask about it. Instead, she shared that 2 people came looking for him, saying that Song Ziqiang wanted to see him. Chen acted as if it was normal for him to hear that name. Sujin reiterated that the 2 individuals didn't seem trustworthy to her because if they claimed Song Ziqiang wanted to see him, it was likely a scam, considering Song Ziqiang was the queen of Jiangcheng. Tensely, she asked Chen what she should do. Chen assured her that they were not lying, so he asked them to wait outside. Upon hearing this, Sujin got a little surprised and responded with an okay. Here, Chen opened the chat with Songge, finding it full of messages asking about his health and whereabouts. Chen shared that Song Ziqiang was the mother of Songge, a classmate of his who had some entanglements with him. He then speculated that it looked like Songje went to see his mom, and if Song Ziqiang could find her way to Sujin's place, it meant Ziqiang must know something. Chen then felt it was necessary for him to go and meet Ziqiang. The scene shifted to the suburban freezer warehouse, where Ziqiang's guards were guiding Chen towards her room. Chen shared that Song Ziqiang was a person who went from rags to riches, becoming the richest person in Jiangcheng, excelling in both legitimate and illegitimate endeavors. After the trial's arrival, she awakened as an A-level talent, swiftly building her own power. Eventually, she unified Jiangcheng amidst the 3-way competition and truly deserved the title Jiangcheng Queen. He also shared that she was someone he had looked up to in his past life. But now he laughed, thinking that things were different. If he could recruit her to his side, there would be much more he could do during this interval before the trial. They stopped at the suburban warehouse corridor, where Ziqiang was standing with her daughter. When Chen reached them, her bodyguard shared about it, after which Ziqiang apologizes for having him come to her place, explaining that she really couldn't get away. Chen asks if there was something she wanted to discuss with him. Surprisingly, Ziqiang approached him and adjusted his clothes. She explained that she called him because Songge had returned home, saying that Chen was out of contact at the Jiangcheng First Hospital and asked her to help. Ziqiang also mentioned that she called him to her place to see what kind of man could make Songge so nervous. What was so charming about him? Chen responded that he didn't like beating around the bush and asked her about her real purpose in calling him. Ziqiang smiled and commented that he was quite straightforward, so she wouldn't beat around the bush either. She then directly asked Chen what he thought about becoming her daughter's husband. Considering he also liked Songge, being her son-in-law wasn't out of the question. Chen replied that he didn't think she had a reason to want him, to which Ziqiang responded by mentioning his heroic performance at the hospital and asked if anyone would develop feelings. Right. Hearing this, Chen was stunned and shared that he remembered he had destroyed the hospital's surveillance and power supply. He then asked how she knew about it and how she found him so quickly. Ziqiang asked Chen not to underestimate her, as at least during the time from the lobby to the monitoring room, her men could still trace him. She convincingly stated that she had someone in the hospital. Ziqiang then showed Chen her phone chat with a girl named Xin, as Xin had sent her a video of him running away with Sujin in his hand. Ziqiang reiterated that her luck had been pretty good, as among the survivors brought out from isolation by the troops in the morning, she found a colleague of Sujin who was quite familiar named Liu Feng. Hearing Liu's name, Chen was surprised, and then it showed the scene from last night in Sujin's house, where Sujin told Chen about Liu Feng. Chen confirmed it by recalling that there was a person named Liu Feng in the bathroom back then, and Liu not only tried to molest her, but also pushed her towards the zombies. Sujin responded with a yes and recounted that after pushing her towards the zombies, Liu tried to escape by jumping out of the window. However, he was grabbed by the zombies and had his head smashed through the glass. After that, he didn't move anymore. So, Liu Feng wasn't actually attacked by the zombies at that time. He was just smashed through the window and injured. Chen was also surprised to hear this, realizing that the person hanging on the window was Liu, as he had thought that Liu was already dead. Sujin responded that it would be best if Liu Feng was already dead, as she hated him so much. The scene then shifted back to the suburban freezer warehouse corridor, where Chen asked Zikyong if she would tell him where the isolated survivors were staying. Zikyong responded by telling him to be her man, and she would tell him whatever he wanted to ask. Chen then told her that she was underestimating him. Zikyong responded that it was true. With just a piece of information, of course, she couldn't match his skills, but she still had some things. Chen interrupted her and said no, she had misunderstood. What he meant was that she knew too little about him. He also said that if she knew more about him, she would understand that he couldn't be her man, but it's her who should be his wife. Saying it, he took out his claws. Seeing this, Zikyong was stunned, and Songye came in front of Zikyong to cover her. Chen responded that Zikyong was wrong and told her to be his wife, and then she would get what she wanted. He again asked what Zikyong had to say about it. Zikyong smiled and told him that he was underestimating her, as just by showing those claws, he couldn't win her over. She also said that moreover, he already had a beautiful and pretty young nurse, and asked why he was interested in an old aunt like her. Chen then got close to Zikyong, held her face, and asked who wouldn't be tempted by such a beautiful married woman. He then shared that everyone had their strengths and weaknesses. So at least in these days before the apocalypse, there's much more she could do for him than Sujin. Hearing this, Zikyong curiously asked about an apocalypse with just a few zombies. Chen responded that zombies were not worthy of being called a warm-up. Hearing the word warm-up, Zikyong realized that Chen knew a lot. Chen responded with a yes, stating that he knew more than she could imagine. Zikyong then said that she thinks they both weren't the type to easily submit to others and asked him to cooperate together, offering her help for his information. She asked Chen what he thought about it. Chen responded with an okay, as he thought that conquering the Queen of Jiangcheng was indeed not easy. Zikyong responded that of course he was right, but she actually looked forward to meeting a man who could conquer her. She asked Chen to keep up the effort of conquering her. So, in reality, she was impressed by Chen's move. Suddenly, they heard the sound of gunshots coming from outside. Hearing this, Chen was shocked and asked, "Gunshots? What's going on?" Tensely, Zikyong shared that the previous night, Commander Huang of the Jiangcheng military region had sent Captain Zhao to negotiate with her. They had requisitioned some refrigerated warehouses to store live zombies and survivors rescued from the isolated capitals. So, the gunfire must have been from there, but she wondered how things could have gone wrong, as there were only around 30 zombies locked in the cold storage, hardly capable of moving. Chen started to wonder that he hadn't expected the discovery of the zombies to happen so quickly due to their sluggishness in low temperatures. However, they definitely didn't know that extreme conditions increased the probability of zombie mutations. Suddenly, he focused on the situation. He was in the suburban cold storage, and there were mutated zombies present as well. Shockingly, he realized that it could possibly be the location of the suburban bombing. So, he became happy thinking about it and asked Zikyong to let's go there as they needed to check it out. Once there, he wondered what kind of mutation it would be. The scene then shifted to the area of the brawl between commandos and zombies, where the commandos were throwing hand grenades into the mouths of zombies. Explosions were happening every second, and the area was filled with fog. Everyone was waiting for the fog to clear to see what had happened to the zombie with the grenade. To their surprise, the zombie didn't have even an inch-sized scratch on itself. Captain Zhao then ordered that their weapons couldn't cause effective damage, so everyone formed groups with the people around them and spread out to attract the monsters separately. They knew they must hold out until reinforcements arrived. To Zhao's surprise, Zikyong arrived and asked him to tell his commandos to cease fire and retreat. Tensely, he asked her what she meant. Zikyong responded that they couldn't injure that meat mountain of a creature, so he should tell the commandos not to go to their deaths in vain anymore. She also asked Captain Zhao to tell them to protect her cold storage employees and the survivors from the isolation hospital he brought to her place, and to get them out quickly. Jay responded that it was impossible because the monster wasn't slow, and no one could escape without restraining it. Suddenly, it was evident that a girl named Lulie was lying on the ground and was about to be attacked by the meat monster. Zikyong again asked Captain Zhao to do as she said, and not to worry about the monster, as someone would take care of it. On the other side, Chen came in between the monster and Lulie to save her. He held the monster to stop it from attacking, and there he shared that he had just grabbed the monster and almost dislocated himself. It had grown to such an extent that it looked like it couldn't be dealt with by the soldiers. The meat monster was going to attack Chen, but he dodged its attack by moving swiftly away and counterattacked with his claws at the monster's arm. Now, again, the monster and Chen were standing face to face. The monster went to hit him, but Chen moved out of the way just in time. The monster hit the walls instead. Seeing this, Captain Zhao tensely asked Ziqiang what was going on, whether she was raising a monster. Ziqiang laughed and asked what Zhao was talking about, telling him to look properly. It was a human. She also revealed that Chen was her partner. On the other hand, due to the broken wall of the storage, so many beefs came out and Chen climbed on top of them, asking the meat monster not to eat them as he would waste all the beefs. Chen then started devouring all the beefs with his skills, and once again, the wave branches came out and tied all the beefs in them. While he was devouring the beefs, the monster took the chance and attacked him, but again he dodged the attack and jumped away. Eventually, the devouring was so fast that by the time he dodged the attack, it was completed, and he gained a slightly increased strength and endurance. Chen happily shared that the beef was truly premium, as it not only stored his energy, but it also leveled him up. Chen then noticed that the monster was looking tired, and he thought that Mazunter was trying to replenish, as it was almost exhausted. And actually, the monster was scratching at the stones, fumbling around. Chen saw his chance and happily went for attacking the monster, as it was the monster's turn to die. The monster saw that Chen was going to attack, but due to being tired it couldn't act, and it got hit by Chen. Zhao and Ziqiang were stunned. Chen then attacked the monster with his claws again and again to make it more powerless. After ensuring the monster was now unable to act, Chen knew it was time for his devouring. He then ordered to activate his devouring skill, after which the black wave branches came out from his hand, covering and tying the monster from everywhere. Seeing this, Zhao was shocked and shouted that it was definitely not possible for a human to do whatever Chen was doing. Meanwhile, Chen started devouring the meat monster slowly. Zhao again said that Chen couldn't be a person. He then thought it's his time, as while those two monsters weren't moving, he could do whatever he wanted. Zhao then asked on his walkie-talkie whether the reinforcement had arrived, as he needed to request a missile launch, and the coordinates were of the suburban warehouse. But before Zhao could complete his order, Ziqiang put her hand on his shoulder and asked him to stay calm and think carefully. She reminded him that Chen was helping them now and had even saved him. She cautioned him not to do anything stupid, as it would end very badly for everyone. The scene then shifted to 10 minutes later, where every commando was aiming at Chen with their shields for their safety. Captain Zhao asked everyone to be on alert and ready with their loaded bullets. Ziqiang asked Zhao not to forget what he had said to her. Captain Zhao responded that he remembered what he had said and he wouldn't order to attack until Chen attacked them first. On the other hand, Chen was increasing his power as he gained 500 virus points from it, and even his new talent named Virus King was unlocked. And due to devouring a rare mutant, all his abilities of the Black Light virus were greatly enhanced. He also gained a new ability named Heavy Hammer. After acquiring that ability, he was happy with his evolution as he could feel an incredibly powerful force, but unfortunately there was nothing to test it on right now. He then shared that he had gotten his biggest gain of the day, which was a Flesh Mountain core. The Flesh Mountain core was a very rare material and could be used to craft equipment. If he found a way to control it, he could even use it to create a flesh wall that could grow indefinitely. He then thought, should he feed it some more and grow another Flesh Mountain to test its strength? Suddenly, he got called by Ziqiang, so he hid the core in the pocket of his jacket. Ziqiang then asked Chen to let her introduce Lulie to him. Chen responded that he knew Lulie as she was a well-known journalist in Jiangcheng, and also a somewhat famous internet celebrity. Chen then smiled and asked if she was the one who secretly filmed him in the hospital. Lulie got fascinated by him, so she happily responded with a yes, confirming it was her, and thanked him for saving her twice. Chen responded that it was just a coincidence of saving her twice, and asked if she had recorded when he wiped out the Meat Mountain mutant. Hearing that, Lulie got a little tense and apologized, explaining it was her professional habit, but if he wanted, she could delete it. Chen then told her to keep it and not send it out as he had a use for it. Lulie responded that she got it. Captain Zhao then approached Chen and mentioned that their district military commander, Huang, hoped that Chen could explain everything about himself and what he knew to the military. Upon hearing this, Chen didn't respond, and started wondering that Commander Huang Xingqiu, a name which was hard to forget for him as after the trials came, Huang coerced the awakened who were weak and alone, using them like pigs and dogs. Chen also remembered that at first they used patriotism and national righteousness to comfort everyone, but later it was just arbitrary beatings and insults. He was one of them, struggling and starving, unable to even have a proper meal. He also shared that the most ridiculous thing was that anyone who tried to leave was accused of treason and hunted down. It forced him to leave Jiangcheng. In the present, Chen asked Ziqiang, addressing her as Boss Song, if he should go and explain. Ziqiang responded with a no, as she didn't know anything yet. Chen tried to say something about the consequences, upon which Ziqiang asked him not to worry as she would handle it. Zhao shouted and said that he hoped both of them understood the duty of being citizens of Longguo. Ziqiang then moved closer to Zhao and furiously told him that duty was just a joke. She even asked Zhao to stop talking like an official, reminding him that he was just a platoon leader, not qualified enough. She also asked Zhao to go and tell Huang Xingqiu that if he had any issues, he should come to her first. Zhao, hearing this, became tense and was about to say something. But before he could, one of his soldiers approached and asked what they should do about the isolated personnel causing trouble. Hearing this, Chen got excited and asked if there was someone named Liu Feng among all of them. Captain Zhao also inquired if it was true what Chen was saying. The soldier responded with a yes, confirming that Liu was the one causing the most trouble. Chen then informed platoon leader Zhao that he wanted to see Liu Feng. Zhao agreed and instructed his soldier to bring Liu Feng to them. After some time, Liu arrived and asked Zhao if he was looking for him and if his dad had called him, mentioning that his dad was Liu Huainong, the vice president of the first hospital. Suddenly, to Liu's surprise, Chen put his hand on Liu's shoulder. In reality, Chen was injecting the zombie virus into Liu Feng, but he told Liu that he was looking for him because someone had asked to pass on a message to him. Liu Feng confusingly asked Chen who he was. Chen responded that Su Jin had told him last night in bed that because of what he did to her with the zombie, she wanted him dead. Hearing this, Liu was stunned and asked how Chen knew about it, as it was impossible for Su Jin to still be alive. Suddenly, to everyone's surprise, Chen moved backward and asked everyone to step back, saying that Liu was about to turn into a zombie. Hearing this, Liu got furious and shouted at Chen, saying that he was the one who was going to turn into a zombie and questioning what the hell he was talking about. But everyone else became protective of themselves, and the soldiers also got ready with their guns. Liu Feng then got mad at Chen and started running towards him to attack, asking if Chen was trying to trick him, as how could Su Jin be with him? While Liu was furious and running towards Chen to beat him, his body was slowly changing into a zombie, which he himself wasn't noticing. The moment he got very close to attack Chen, Chen used his hammer punch on Liu, and Liu got thrown away. Seeing this, Zhao got stunned and wondered how Chen could have a mutant and if he was really human. Meanwhile, Chen was impressed to see the power of the hammer punch. Chen then told Ziqiang, addressing her as Boss Song, that she did okay, so he could share some information with her when they got back. Ziqiang got close to him and told him that he could call her Ziqiang or Song Jie from the present time. Hearing this, Chen asked why. What had happened suddenly? Ziqiang responded that she didn't think it was worth it to be his partner. She then asked if it was still possible for those who wanted to be with him, indirectly inquiring about the chance of her being Chen's wife. Hearing Ziqiang's questions, Chen understood that she was fascinated by him, so he responded to her that it depended on her value and performance. The scene shifted to some time later, when Ziqiang and others were heading back to her home. In the car, Ziqiang asked Chen to come over to her place for dinner. At that time, Chen asked Ziqiang not to disturb him until they got to her house. Ziqiang responded with an okay. Chen then started wondering if it was time for the lucky draw, and he went to see if there were any good rewards for defeating the Meat Mountain. Chen opened his inventory to check what items he had. To his surprise, there were 2 skill books he could apply. The first book was Rampage Bloodlust, which increased all attributes by 3 for 10 minutes, with a cooldown of 1 day, but all attributes decreased by 50%. Reading it, Chen thought that the first book was totally useless for him. Then he turned his attention to the second book. The second book was Muscle Enhancement, which greatly increased muscle mass and doubled the growth rate of strength and construction. But Chen was also not satisfied with the second book. He shared that, from what he knew, those who used the muscle enhancement book in their previous life all turned into muscle freaks, greatly reducing their flexibility. Still, he was a little happy. Although both books were not useful for him, they were still quite valuable in the early stages of the trial. Whether it was for building a faction or rallying people, they were quite useful. Thinking about building a faction, he suddenly realized that it was his time to start planning. He then looked at his rewards, which included 6 gold coins for wiping out the meat monster. Overall, he had 6 gold coins, 35 silver coins, and 6 copper coins. He then saw that it was asking for gold coins to create a chat group. Seeing this, he thought that he could use the chat group to gather pioneers and help them lay a solid foundation before the trial. Chen then shared that the factions in the later stages of the trial in his previous life were complex, and the relationships established in the early stages of the trials were crucial. After selecting the group creation option, he got an option for naming it. He also got an option to cancel naming it, which would automatically save it as Group 001. So he canceled naming it, and after that, he laughed and shouted Helios's name, saying that he would build his divine emperor city and establish a divine kingdom, where she would become his lowliest dog under his feet. The scene then shifted to 3 hours later in the private villa of Song Zikyong, where Chen had already shared some information about the upcoming future with Zikyong, after which, she confirmed it by repeating that in the cosmic trial, more than 90% of the participants would become monsters and undergo gifted evolution, and also mentioned that firearms and electronic devices were useless. Chen responded with a yes, stating that was all he could tell her. He then asked whether it should be okay for Zikyong to deal with and gain an advantage, right? Zikyong responded with a no, stating that it wasn't enough. She then asked Chen to get straight to the point on how she could become his person. Chen responded that the first thing required was ability, as he didn't need useless people. And second was loyalty, absolute loyalty like a loyal dog to its master. Zikyong smiled and shared that she could provide loyalty, and if it was about ability, she believed she was qualified enough for that as she had influence, money, status, and in Jiangcheng, there was no one who could compare with her. Hearing this, Chen told her that the rules and values after the trial would be completely new, and her current power, status, and money had no value other than making the idea of enslaving her more tempting. He then asked her to think about the future, as in that future, everyone would auction for the former queen and princess of Jiangcheng. He asked whether bringing the lofty queen back home wasn't what everyone dreamed of before the trial. Hearing this, she got a little tense and asked Chen what the difference was between being a loyal dog for him and being a plaything elsewhere. Chen responded that she would have a stage where she could exert her strength and a master who wouldn't restrict her out of fear, because he would always stand beside her and above her. Zikyong then smiled and shared that she felt like if she hesitated any longer, she would miss out on a very important opportunity. She then went close to Chen, sat down, and bent her knee, saying that she was willing to serve him and declaring Chen as her master. Chen got excited to see that and told Zikyong that he must say, her reputation and status make the emotional value she could provide very high. Chen also said that it's quite exciting for him. He then touched her face and asked her to let him witness her charm in person, telling her that he had some tasks for her to handle. Hearing this, she got a little tensed. The scene then shifted sometime later towards Luli and a new girl named Mrs. Leng, who basically looked like a secretary of Zikyong. In chat group 001, Zikyong sent a message to Leng asking whether Luli had sent the video of Chen to her. If it was a yes, she requested Leng to send Luli to her home, as she had been through too much in the past few days and needed rest. After that, Leng was instructed to find someone to keep Qinbai's posts prominently displayed on major forums. Zikyong also informed her about the title of the video, addressing it to the pioneers with the ID name White Emperor. Reading this, Leng was a little surprised. But still, she went to Lulei and told her that Zikyong wanted Luli to send Qinbai's video and then take her to her home to rest. Hearing this, Luli surprisingly asked what about going home, and if there was nothing she could help with. Leng responded to Luli that Zikyong said she had been through a lot in the past few days, so Zikyong wanted her to go home, take rest, and calm down. Luli responded with an okay, and mentioned that although she almost died at the hands of zombies, strangely, the shock she received didn't seem as intense as when she first saw the zombies. She also said that she didn't know if it was because she had accepted the possibility of dying at the hands of zombies, or if Mr. Chen's strength made her feel at ease. The scene comes back to Zikyong's villa, where Zikyong's phone rang, and it was her daughter Songye calling her. Chen noticed the call and picked it up in place of Zikyong. After he picked up the call, Songye asked if Mrs. Leng said that she wanted her to come home. Was there something wrong? Chen then shared with her that it's him who answered. Hearing this, Songye surprisingly asked why he had her mom's phone and where her mom was. Chen responded that Zikyong was busy with some work and eating, and she had no time to talk. He also told Songye that she had to come home and talk as it's important. Songye responded with an okay and then shouted at Chenbai, asking him to wait for her at home as she had sent so many messages, but he didn't respond. But before Songye could complete her sentence, Chen hung up the phone. Seeing this, she got furious and angrily said that she would make him kneel under her pomegranate skirt sooner or later. On the other side, at Zikyong's villa, Zikyong asked Chen whether he would also protect her daughter. Chen responded that Songye lacked ability and her character had been spoiled by her indulgence, but if Zikyong worked harder, he could guarantee that Songye would most likely not become a monster when the trial arrives. Hearing this, Zikyong happily said thank you to him. After some time, the scene shifted to a suburban secret warehouse. On the other hand, Zikyong and Songye were coming there in a car. While on the way, Songye heard everything about Chen from her mom and asked Zikyong whether she was sure she wasn't being deceived by Chen and how she could believe something so absurd. Zikyong responded by telling Songye that she stopped her from looking for Chen last night because of this, and she warned Songe that after she got out of the car, she shouldn't speak and should just look obediently. Songe responded with an okay. Here, in the suburban secret warehouse, Chen was having a talk with Mrs. Leng. Leng shared that she had visited all the places rumored to have zombies and monsters in the entire city the previous day, and in the end, only the secret warehouse was found. She also told him that the secret warehouse used to be an underground casino, but now both the building and the gamblers inside had turned into zombies. There were about 160 of them, and she didn't find any special zombie like the Meat Mountain. Chen responded that he got it and started wondering about the zombie slaughterhouse. However, he denied it because hospitals were indoors and Meat Mountain was difficult to wipe out. And the secret warehouse place was remote, so if something happened, it would be hard for people to remember and spread it. Chen again confirmed for Mrs. Leng that she went to all the places rumored to have zombies, but she only found them at the secret warehouse. Mrs. Leng responded with a yes. By that time, Zikyung and Songe also arrived there. Chen again started wondering that it seemed someone was still collecting zombies, and the place where he had placed the zombies should be the zombie slaughterhouse. The military only dares to contain a few dozen zombies at most, but this person wants to collect all the zombies and monsters. Chen found it very exciting, so he asked in front of everyone whether the anonymous person was a curious adventurer or a pioneer who knew some information. Chen then asked the workers to open the door of the warehouse. The moment the door was opened, many began running towards them to attack. Chen started beating all of them one by one. Seeing this, Songe was stunned, and Sujin was recording a video. After defeating every zombie, he started absorbing the virus from them. He even earned the title of Zombie Hunter because he had wiped out more than 300 zombies. All his attributes increased by +5, and his system collected more than 500 samples of zombies. Chen then had the option to exchange the zombie virus serum formula using virus points in the talent tree's zombie virus entry. Excited by the option to awaken the zombie virus serum formula, he recognized its value. Even awakened talents could be threatened by zombie viruses, as not everyone possessed immunity to viruses and an ultra-strong physique, so he unlocked it using 300 virus points. After that, he asked Zikyung to call everyone in the warehouse and asked if she remembered what he had told her before they set off. Zikyung responded with a yes, but Songe felt very disgusted seeing the monsters and zombies being wiped out like that. Zikyung explained that fighting zombies with cold weapons would greatly reduce the chances of turning into a monster during the trial. Wiping out zombies unharmed would definitely not turn them into monsters. He then held one zombie in his hand and said he wanted to see their talents. He asked who wanted to come first. Leng, looking confident, responded that she would go first. So Chen released the zombie. Surprisingly, Mrs. Leng ran towards the zombies and body slammed one to the ground, breaking its neck and killing it. Chen told Leng that he was impressed, as she was fast, ruthless, and very accurate. Zikyung then hit the zombie with a baseball bat, delivering 10 continuous hits. Chen noticed that Zikyung's strength wasn't enough, as the zombie was knocked down in one hit, but it took more than 10 hits to finish it off. On the other hand, Sujin was lying on the ground with the zombie. Chen noticed that Sujin's strength was too weak, as she was tackled by a zombie, but she managed to wipe it out by relying on her familiarity with the human structure. Zikyung then gave the baseball bat to Songe and asked her to go and fight the zombie as it was her turn. But Songe was scared, and even peed at that time, shouting that she couldn't do it. Chen then shared that since Songe peed without fighting, she had definitely failed. Chen then asked Zikyung to come towards him as he had something to discuss. Chen then told her that Leng Shuang had gone to all the places where there were rumors of zombies and monsters, but found nothing, which he thought was very abnormal. So, he asked her to thoroughly investigate the matter. Zikyung responded with a yes and then asked about Songe. Chen replied that it was too bad for everyone, especially Songe. He also mentioned that he didn't have time to slowly train them, so she had to arrange for their practice. Zikyung tensely said that he still hadn't eliminated the virus. Chen then handed her a paper, and she looked at it with surprise. Confusedly, she asked what it was, and upon closer inspection, she noticed that it was a note containing the zombie virus serum formula. After reading, Zikyung remarked that the steps were so complicated. Chen shared that she could also input the materials into the formula to generate it herself, as it was the essence of potion formulas. Hearing this, Zikyung became happy and thanked him for trusting her. She also assured him that she would do her best to complete the task he entrusted to her and keep the formula safe. Chen responded with a okay and asked Zikyung to do her work and send someone to him. Zikyung replied with okay and said that she was sending Leng Shuang to him. After that, Chen wondered if many people had seen his post and if anyone had contacted him beforehand. When he checked his mobile, he became tense to see the responses of everyone, as they were mocking him and even making fun of him, asking which mental hospital he had come from. Suddenly, he became a bit serious upon seeing that he had a private message from someone named Shil. In the message, Shil said that he knows much, as he was a pioneer too, and asked Chen how much he knew. Seeing this, Chen wondered if not everyone was a loser, as there were some gains as well. So, Chen asked Shil about his talent, to which Shil responded that he had an S-level mental control. Shil then told Chen that he could find communication on the panel unlocked by the Pioneer in advance, so he should search for chat group 001, as some basic things had been explained by him in that group. Shil then told Chen that if he had any problems after reading them, he could directly come to him. Suddenly, he saw that a person named Han Xiao messaged Chen, asking if he could invite someone in. Chen asked who Xiao wanted to invite. Xiao responded that there was a person below named Shuchuan. Hearing his name, Chen got stunned, as it must be the emperor-level powerhouse known as Suicunes. He got excited about him joining the group, so he responded to Xiao that if he noticed any other pioneers, he could invite them all. After that, he had a very hard laugh, and lastly, Shuichuan joined his chat group. On that same day, at 7:30 p.m., Luli was having a chat with Ziqiang, where Ziqiang asked Luli if there were any results in the investigation of collecting zombies. Luli responded with a yes, and shared that it was the forces of the Jiangcheng Lord who were doing that. They had sent all the collected zombies to the Mankai container yard near the Jiangcheng wharf. Luli also mentioned that she had sent someone to gather more information, and it was time for her to meet as agreed. However, they hadn't returned, so she didn't see the need to wait any longer. Suddenly, to her surprise, 2 men fell in front of her, both very much injured. She was terrified by the sight, and suddenly, a man from the window was laughing while staring at her. Seeing this, she was stunned and scared. Tensely, she told Ziqiang that she had been discovered. The scene shifted to Ziqiang's mansion, where Chen was having a chat with a person named Liu Huai. Liu Huai was telling Chen that his talent instructions were a bit obscure and asked if Chen could help him understand it. Chen asked him to send it, and Liu sent the name Yin Wood. So Chen searched for it on his panel, and it showed that Yin Wood was the most yin of woods, the source of life was endless. And with Yin soul entering the body, it was the land of eternal life. For activating wood body, it cost 1 spirit, and for Yin soul, it cost 1 constitution. Yin Wood was a talent of SS level. So Chen told Liu that the cost of activating the ability was quite high, and if his spirit was more than 3, then it would cost spirit to activate the wood body. Liu thanked Chen for providing that information. Suddenly, Ziqiang came running towards Chen. Seeing her urgency, Chen asked Ziqiang why she was in such a hurry and what was going on. Ziqiang responded that Luli had found out that all the zombies had been sent to the Mankai container yard, but Luli was caught. Ziqiang also mentioned that the opposing party was asking her to negotiate. Upon hearing this, Chen stood up and asked, surprisingly, whether they really contacted her and if Luli had given her up. Hearing this, Ziqiang got stunned and bowed down in front of him, sharing that she herself had raised Luli, so Luli couldn't betray them. Moreover, she was commanding from behind this time, so the problem should lie with the people she sent out to investigate. Chen responded that if that was the case, then he would save Luli. Ziqiang thanked Chen for that. The scene then shifted to the Mankai container yard where Luli was tied to a chair by the men who had discovered her. The man's name was Xing Meng, and he was also a pioneer like Chen. Sine told Luli that she was a bit ignorant of the situation, and he hadn't touched her out of respect for Ziqiang. He said that if Ziqiang chose to submit after she arrived, Luli would be her subordinate. However, if she didn't want to, then she would be his plaything. Luli was trying to loosen the rope she was tied with. Xing got close to her and told her to let him toast her again, asking if she wouldn't spit it out recklessly. Luli was trembling with fear. Suddenly, Chen's voice rang out, saying that a toast not drunk. Punishment wine didn't taste good. He also remarked that without grace, maybe the girl didn't like it. It was evident that Chen was peacefully eating food while sitting at Xing's table. Xing also got shocked to see Chen and started wondering why Chen came there and sat at his table without his knowledge. Chen then stood up and asked Luli if she was hungry. He mentioned that he had tried the steak, and it wasn't that bad. Seeing this, Xing was getting furious as Chen was acting as if he were a joke to him. Chen then fed Luli, and she was embarrassed at that moment. He then told Xing that he came there to take Luli back. Xing then asked if Ziqiang sent him, but soon he denied it himself, realizing that if Chen could get this close to him without him noticing, Chen must be a pioneer too. While Xing was processing this, Chen opened the rope tied around Luli and asked her to go outside, as Ziqiang was waiting for her in the car. Luli responded with an okay and left from there. Xing, seeing her leave, said to Chen that it seemed like Ziqiang was already under Chen's control. Chen responded to Xing, saying he was right. Xing then said that it's interesting. As much as he knows, it's unlikely that the Queen of Jiangcheng would surrender so easily, right? So Chen must have a lot of interesting methods. He also mentioned that they could exchange ideas, as he was still very interested in those things. He then shared that among the 3 major forces in Jiangcheng, he subdued the Lord, and Chen subdued the Queen. So now only the commander was left. Xing asked Chen to assist him in becoming the king of Jiangcheng, and they would make Chen a confidant. Xing asks Chen to agree to those terms, but Chen responds that he refuses Xing's offer. Hearing this, Xing got angry and threw the glass of wine on the floor. Xing then told Chen not to worry, as he had an S-level talent, which was the highest level. He also asked Chen if he would like to drink the punishment wine. Chen then shared that before he came there, he looked around, and he found out that not only was Xing collecting zombies, but Xing was also creating zombies with living people. Chen remarked that having such a powerful ability like Xing's was harmful and useless, so it was better for him to die early. Chen also said that Xing wasn't worthy of his assistance because his talent was an SSS level. Xing, upon hearing this, laughed and took out his weapon form, telling Chen that his talent was called Slaughter Progression. He explained that it could permanently transfer parts of the attributes of the killed target to himself, and it could grow indefinitely. And this invincible top-level ability was only of a single level. Xing then asked Chen if he was in an SSS ability, whether Chen was afraid that he would instantly become a god. Chen responded that he was close enough, but he could tell him. Chen was wondering at that time, thinking that it turned out to be an unlimited growth pure combat type skill like a claw, which should be equipment. But hearing all that, Xing got angry and ran towards Chen to attack, shouting that he hoped Chen would increase his attributes after death. Xing then asked Chen not to disappoint him, but somehow Chen dodged the attack and commanded his special hammer ability to use at the time of attacking. Seeing him dodge, Xing understood that he had a shape-shifting talent, which was indeed interesting, but Chen's strength wasn't enough to be seen. Hearing this, Chen started wondering if it was really a skill. It seemed like Xing didn't explain his abilities fully, and Chen also didn't know what effect this ability had, so he had to be careful about it. Xing again attacked Chen with his claws, and in defense, Chen used his hammer hand. Their punches clashed, creating a big impact in their surroundings. After that punch, Xing flew away a little, but soon he stopped himself from getting blown away and attacked back towards Chen. Chen also punched with his hammer hand, but this time Xing stopped the attack by holding his hand. At that time, Xing asked Chen whether he was alright or not, as he didn't think that Chen had much strength left. He also asked whether Chen was an SSS talent, urging him to stop hiding his power and show what he had got. Chen responded that he had already been using his skills, it's just that Xing wasn't able to recognize it. Xing shouted at Chen to stop bullshitting like that and went for his full power attack at him. Seeing this, Chen got tensed a little bit. Xing then punched Chen, causing him to fly away and bump into the wall. Xing then said that Chen's strength, physique, and agility were all lower than his power, but Chen was constantly pretending to be strong. Xing then told Chen that his little tricks were nothing in front of his absolute power. Suddenly, to Xing's surprise, he coughed up blood out of nowhere. Seeing this, he got shocked and wondered what was going on. Xing's screen constantly showed him two notices that the influenza virus and encephalitis B virus had exceeded the limit of physical immunity strength by -3, physical by -2, agility by -3, and agility by -5. Then Xing got a notification that he had gained a negative buff, feeling fear of light and water, along with slow thinking and movements. He was still unable to interpret what was going on with him. Chen then said that Xing's physique was indeed good as it took so long for the virus to take effect. Chen then asked how Xing felt to have so many illnesses. Hearing this, Xing got furious and shouted furiously that Chen was a sneaky bastard and went for attacking Chen. But Xing was so low-powered this time that Chen easily hit him with a hammer hand, and he got defeated. Chen then said that he wasn't sneaky, as he had already told Xing that he had different ways to attack, and it's a pity that Xing didn't believe him. He then started devouring the full body of Xing and told him that he would proceed with it later, so he didn't disappoint him. After devouring, a system alert came that a whole evolved human had been absorbed, and the black light virus had completed its initial awakening, providing a significant increase in its attributes and becoming the base attributes of the virus monarch's own body. He also received a notification that his black light devouring ability had evolved, and now he could choose to view part of his target's memories, with a low probability of obtaining any of his opponent's mastered skills. Seeing this, Chen got happy, as the attribute bonuses provided by the blacklight virus had been changed from active use to base attribute bonuses, which was a huge benefit for him. Chen then went to see how many attributes had been added. Previously, it was 30% more strength, 20% more spirit, and 100% more regeneration. When he checked, he got happy as every element had been increased by 20%, and they all had been added to his basic attributes. He then picked up the claw of Xing, and while doing so, Chen wondered that it seemed they could no longer play around, as ordinary people with basic attributes below 5 were too fragile for him now. He then looked at the description of Xing's zombie claw and saw that there were equipments, blueprints, and consumables. So Chen thought that Xing was a very lucky guy, and must have wiped out mutant zombies. Otherwise, it would be impossible for Xing to have attributes and equipment that exceeded his own. Chen then shared that it's actually a sea-level production blueprint, so Jing's luck attribute must be quite high, but all of these were his now. In all that fuss, it was already night. While Chen was coming outside of the container yard, he was wondering that from back till now, his talent had gone from E to SSS, and the rumors of the 3 strange events had been very rewarding. At the same time, he had taken over Ziqiang, the future lord of Jiangcheng. Seeing Chen coming, Ziqiang opens the door of the car and asks him to get in. Chen also wonders that with his current strength, it's not worth the effort to look for the monsters that appeared randomly before the trial's arrival. So Chen decided that in those days, he should just try to organize and prepare for the development after the advent. The scene then shifted to Ziqiang's house on the day when the trial was going to begin. Chen was standing near the glass window, looking outside, waiting for the trial to begin. At that time, someone knocked at the door, so Chen ordered them to come inside. Ziqiang, Leng, and Sujin, all 3 entered. Ziqiang told Chen that they had completed everything he had asked them to do on time. Leng happily shared that the information on the terrain and population size of the area centered on the Peak Villa area had been confirmed, and when the doomsday came, they would be able to clean up, take total control, and dominate first. Sujin also shared that the purchase of materials was finalized, and the list had been compiled and sent to him. Chen then said that the 3 of them had confirmed those pre-arrangements with each other. Ziqiang then asks that the time was almost up, so what else would Chen like them to do? Chen responds that there's nothing more to do, so just put all the information on the table. Chen then messaged in his group that there were 10 minutes until the trials descend, so they shouldn't be complacent about their early advantages and rare talents. He urged them to stay calm, as the trials bring dangers they couldn't even imagine, and he didn't want anyone from the group to disappear in 10 minutes, after which a boy thanked Chen for the reminder at the 10th minute, and a girl thanked at 9 minutes. Slowly, they all expressed their thanks and shared their thoughts every minute, counting towards the beginning of the trial. When 10 seconds were left, Chen asked Ziqiang and the others to come and take a look at the outside atmosphere, as soon this quiet and peaceful scene would become history, and the world was coming to an end. With each of Chen's sentences, a second was passing. When 5 seconds were left, Songgye said to Leng that she was a little scared, to which Leng told Songgye not to be afraid of anything. Slowly, 4 seconds also passed, and suddenly the moon turned hot red, signaling the beginning of the trials. So, the Blue Star Doomsday trial officially begins. People were turning into zombies, and the survivors would get evolved. All the evolved humans would have innate abilities and could increase their level by gaining experience. Chen shared that the other races of the universe also emerged as a result of the trial, and they would also participate in this race of life and death. As for someone's proving ground, the blue planet would be the home of countless secret realms and world rifts. So whether it was danger or opportunity, it's up to the person how they would use it. Hence, everyone had to try their best to grow and evolve. Suddenly, Chen notices that his locket was shining, and he got a notice on the screen that the hourglass of time had been recognized and was now binding. Seeing this, he got confused and wondered what was recognized. Suddenly, he remembered that everyone else was also there in the room, and he got tense because he didn't want anyone to know about the hourglass. So he tensely turned around to ask everyone to get out of the room. But he got shocked when he saw that everyone had stopped and was looking black and white to him. When he looked around his surroundings, he noticed that everything was in black and white color only. He even got surprised to see that the crashed airplane was also stopped in midair. Chen shockingly wonders whether time really got stopped. Suddenly, his hourglass started absorbing powers from the surrounding. After it was done, Chen saw that a voice was coming, saying that the time hourglass was bound successfully. When Chen looked at the screen for information about the hourglass, he saw that he had activated a skill named Going Back in Time, in which he could return to any point in the past and erase everything gained in the vanished timeline. The cooldown timing was 72 years, 6 months, and 7 days, and it was also given that this skill couldn't be modified by any skill or equipment to reduce its cooldown. He then thought that if he looks back, it seems that he was able to be reborn because of the hourglass. He also saw a column of status save and read. Status save means he could mark the current physical and mental status, skill status, and had no cooldown, whereas status read meant he could read saved status and it didn't affect memories or items held. So he wonders how he could get such a powerful life-saving skill with just a cooldown of 1 hour. The environment then gets back to normal, and Ziqiang said that she feels he just called them and asked if he had any orders for them or if she just misheard. Chen responds that she heard him right and orders her to go and confirm the safety of their villa as soon as possible, as the night was very dangerous. He instructs her to put everyone on alert and start clearing the villa area as soon as it's daylight. So Ziqiang and Leng respond with a yes. The scene then shifted to the next day in Song Ziqiang's villa, where zombies were attacking. Ziqiang goes for attacking them, demonstrating that she has the skills of amethyst eyes. Amethyst eyes transforms objects into amethyst, or illuminates amethyst for offense or defense. Its power increases with mental strength. She also gained the skill of insight crystal, in which she could see the target's attributes. Its effect changes with the difference in mental strength. Zikyong then looks at the zombie with her insight crystal skill to check its attributes and then attacks accordingly. Meanwhile, Ling Shuang has gained the skills of an A-level assassin. In the assassin skill, one's breath becomes invisible and undetectable, while also increasing strength and sensitivity. Leng jumps between the zombies and clears all of them in one hit. Next, it shows that Zikyong's guards were taking the wounded survivors to the lobby and told Sujin tensely. Sujin asks the guard to give the survivor the zombie serum, and she would treat him right away. So actually, Sujin got the skill named High-Speed Recovery of Level B. The high-speed recovery skill increases the speed of self-recovery from injuries and stamina, and could be used actively on others. In the night, Chen was with Leng. He told her that he could see things were going pretty well. Leng responds with a yes, as with his prior arrangements, they had all the territory and the people at their disposal, and no accidents had occurred so far. Chen then told Leng that he was leaving the rest of the work to her, as he had more important things to do. Leng got surprised hearing it, but still she responded with an okay. Chen then jumps off from there towards the sky to fly. He was so fast that it caused a fast flow of air, making Leng uncomfortable. The scene then shifted to Jiangcheng Mountain Road where Chen was running towards somewhere. While running, he thinks that in the early stages of the Doomsday trial, it was quite troublesome that some things such as vehicles and firearms couldn't be used, but with his current speed, he should be able to get there in time. He then shared that, on the first day of the Doomsday, he saw the sign that appeared in the air at Jiangcheng City University, and it took him a long time to understand the meaning of that sign. But it's too late for regrets, as he must seize the opportunity this time. The scene then shifted to some time later at Jiangcheng University, where Chen was absorbing the viruses from the zombies. Suddenly, a change of signs happens in the moon, and Chen shares that it was a sign that all evolvers desperately want to see. He then told that it was a sign that indicates that the avatar of the god had descended on the earth. Chen could feel that the god was just in front of him somewhere near. While he was searching, someone stops him, stating him as an evolver. The person said that he feels there was no one as strong as Chen was in the early stages of trials. He then told that he was a merchant and asked if Chen would be interested in doing some business with him. Chen was very happy as he was searching for the same things, so he responds that he would be honored to do business with him. The boy responds to Chen that it was just a trade with him, so there was nothing to be honored about. Chen told that he had the honor of hearing his name, and after seeing his symbol, he had been looking forward to meeting him. He then bows down in front of the boy, showing gratitude, calling him the kind, fair, generous, rich, and powerful god of trading, Lord Leto. Hearing this, Lord Leto comes in his real form. In the past, Leto was flattered by Chen and saw that Chen was destined to meet him, so he decided to gift him a special reward as a meeting gift. In the past, Leto gave a card to Chen and shared that it was his gold membership card to the Goblin Chamber of Commerce. He asked Chen to purchase items from the Goblin Chamber of Commerce, mentioning they would receive a 12% discount on every item. Upon seeing this, Chen wondered that in his last life, when he had met Leto, Leto had been immune to compliments and praise, so it was good to be quick on the uptake. Chen took the card, expressing gratitude, acknowledging that Leto was truly as generous and kind as they say. Leto then mentioned that since Chen was willing to trade with him, he was going to show him the products. Chen looked and saw that the first item was named Thunderwalker Scroll of S grade. The Thunderwalker Scroll was a powerful profession that harnessed the power of thunder, refining itself with it. It was capable of destroying enemies with the power of thunder and possessed extremely potent melee combat abilities. Its price was 500 gold coins. The second item was named Reaper's Touch, an S-grade item. Reaper's Touch was a legendary sniper rifle that could only be wielded by firearms professions. It was the creation of the dwarf god, a close friend of the goblins and the god of trade, Leto. Seeing the items, Chen was stunned and noticed that it was the Thunderwalker profession scroll from his previous life, indicating it was purchased from there. Chen also realized that Leto had many other precious profession items. So Chen apologized to Leto, explaining that he wanted all the things but couldn't afford them right now. Leto responded understandingly, mentioning that he knew at the beginning of the trials the evolvers wouldn't have much currency on hand. Leto also reassured Chen that his products weren't junk, so Chen would have to work hard to become wealthy. He expressed his anticipation for meeting Chen again in the future. Chen pondered what to reply, but suddenly noticed Leto was heading back. So Chen stopped Leto and shared that although he couldn't afford to buy his products, he had heard that the gods couldn't participate directly in the trials and needed to invest in evolved beings to make a profit. Chen then asked Leto if he had come with the intention of investing, to which Leto was impressed by Chen's insight and knowledge. Leto then asked Chen if he wanted his investments. Chen responded by mentioning that he had heard about a treasure in Leto's hands, highly regarded by all the gods, and no evolver could refuse it. He then asked Leto to invest it in him, assuring Leto that he wouldn't regret it. Leto responded by stating that an investment must be profitable, something all gods would covet. He asked Chen what made him think he could offer more than it's worth. Leto then shared that even if Chen were his admirer, he wouldn't engage in a business that would lead to losses. So, Chen transformed into his evolved form with the hammer hand and claw, and asked Leto to look at it, demonstrating what he was capable of. Leto was fascinated to see the SSS level ranked talent. Leto then shared that Chen had a peculiar talent, unlike any he had ever seen, making the Blue Star trial ground seem quite interesting. Leto admitted that it was tempting for him, but he didn't have any plans to invest this much early on. To Chen's surprise, Leto said all right, deciding to give him a chance, and advised Chen to cherish the opportunity. Leto mentioned that if it weren't for the fact that Chen was gifted and didn't have the aura of other gods, he wouldn't have agreed. Chen asked if he could receive the precious investment right away, but Leto responded with a no. He explained that talent didn't necessarily represent the future, citing that among the gods there were those with less than an A-level talent. Leto emphasized that to receive his highest level of investment, Chen needed to prove his worth through his own strength and growth. Suddenly, Chen's screen showed a notice. The god of goblins and trading, Leto, had issued him an SS-ranked mission, the ultimate investment. Leto asked Chen if he wanted to accept it, and without hesitation, Chen directly accepted the mission request. Leto gave a coin to Chen, explaining that whenever Chen completed the task, he could use the coin to summon his shadow. Leto then expressed his hope that Chen wouldn't keep him waiting for too long. Chen then asked Leto if he could show him the treasure that all the gods covet. Leto responded with a yes and revealed the treasure, named the Dual Profession Scroll. The Dual Profession Scroll allows the user to have two professions simultaneously, enabling dual profession attribute growth, attribute bonuses, and skills to take effect concurrently. Seeing this, Chen was stunned and wondered if it was really a dual profession. Leto then informed Chen that the transaction had concluded and it was time for him to go. Before leaving, Leto mentioned that his harvest of the day was quite pleasant, and he hoped that Chen could complete the task. After Leto left, Chen opened his mission panel to see what he had to do. The description stated that to obtain the most valuable investment from the smartest and greatest goblin, the god of trade, he needed to provide enough proof of his worth. His objective for the mission was to find a special copy of the secret realm in Jiangcheng University, defeat the creature inside that Leto was interested in, and obtain a part of its body to give to Leto. Chen noticed in the reward area that it was written the reward would be decided by Leto. Impressed, Chen thought that Leto was truly a god of trade. Chen then thought that Leto's reputation in the previous life was good, so if he didn't do a good job, he wouldn't suffer any loss. After that, he wondered about Jiangcheng University, pondering whether the university had a secret realm in its early days. If it's true, then it must have been a very well-hidden one because he had never heard of it. Chen pondered where he should start looking first. The scene then shifted to the gymnasium of Jiangcheng University, where some boys were bullying other boys and girls. The bully, named Tom, demanded that the students plead to be his servants in a manner that pleased him, threatening to harm them if they didn't comply. The students furiously denied his request, saying they would only do it in his dreams and calling him a piggy bastard. Hearing this, Tom got excited and threatened that if they wanted to get wiped, he was happy to do it. He also reassured them not to worry, as he wouldn't let them die so easily. A girl named Mia, Tom's comrade, approached him and asked him to stop, saying he was going too far. To everyone's surprise, Tom hit her too, telling her to stay out of it. Suddenly, an explosion occurred in the wall, causing everyone to tense up. From the opening, Chen emerged and confronted Tom, asking if he had beaten those students. Tom smiled and proudly admitted to it, asking if Chen didn't like it. The moment Tom looked up, he was stunned to see Chen coming towards him furiously, wielding an unbelievable power. Chen punched Tom with the hammer hand, telling him to go to hell. Seeing Tom in trouble, his friend tried to help by fighting Chen, but Chen swiftly defeated him as well. While Chen was overpowering them, he asked if anyone among them was from the medical faculty, as he was looking for something and needed assistance from someone familiar with the medical faculty. The students replied with a no, mentioning that one was a civil engineer and others were foreign students. However, a girl named Jia pointed towards Mia and recalled that Mia was a medical student. Seeing this, Mia got tense and pleaded with Chen not to harm her, insisting that she hadn't hurt anyone. Then, Mia started saying strange things, like how she liked the Dragon Nation, and she described herself as being white with a horny heart, and that she was very horny in her heart. Upon hearing this, the boys' students began to laugh, while the girl's student felt embarrassed. Mia asked Chen to spare her, promising to do anything in return. Gia reiterated that Mia hadn't done anything wrong and had even tried to stop the two guys. Chen responded that he understood. The scene then shifted to the morning, where Chen instructed everyone that, except for Mia, they could all leave. He told them that when they got out, they should follow the trail of zombie corpses to Jiangqing Dongshan Villa and report his name as Chen Bai. The people there would take care of them. Hearing this, they all became tense, expressing concern that the city was full of zombies, so how could they possibly go? Additionally, they pointed out that Dongshan Villa was far from the university, and they feared they could die on the way there. Chen reassured them that he had cleared almost all the zombies along the way, so they didn't have to worry much as they wouldn't be in danger. He also mentioned that since they were all survivors, they would be gifted evolvers too. Chen pointed out that if they were too scared to face the zombies now, what would they do when the zombies and monsters started growing in numbers? They would be as good as dead. Hearing this, they all were stunned for a moment. Gia thanked Chen as she understood what he was trying to say. Then, everyone left from there. As everyone was leaving, Mia asked Chen why she couldn't leave with them and why he kept her there. Chen didn't respond. Mia felt embarrassed, wondering if Chen kept her there for romantic reasons. Mia then concluded that she understood, as students in the Dragon Kingdom loved foreign girls, and Chen must have been the same, which is why he kept her with him. She then asked Chen not to use violence against her, as she would be his wildest horse. Hearing this, Chen smiled and told Mia that she misunderstood him, as he wasn't interested in a horse with 1,000,000 riders. He then asked her if she didn't hear what he said before, that he needed someone to help him find something in the medical department. Mia felt embarrassed at that moment and apologized, admitting that she was so scared before that she hadn't heard anything. Then, she furiously shouted at Chen, saying he couldn't insult her like that, as she hadn't been ridden by thousands of people. She quickly added that she hadn't been ridden by anyone until now, and she could prove it. Chen responded with an okay as he understood. The scene then shifted sometime later to the Jiangcheng University Stadium, where Mia told Chen she was tired from walking so much and asked if they could take a break. Chen responded with a no, and, to her surprise, he held her waist, explaining that they had to go fast, and started running. At that moment, her shirt fell to the ground, and she even shouted about it, but Chen didn't hear her. After a few minutes, they reached the medical department research building, where Mia was a little frustrated and shouted at Chen, accusing him of being too pushy. She explained that if she hadn't caught her foot in her shirt at that moment, it would have been so embarrassing for her to be left in her underwear. Chen then asked her if it was the research building. Mia responded with a yes, explaining that there was a research room on the 3rd floor that only professors could enter. She added that it was said to contain many samples and information about bacteria and viruses. She also mentioned that the one on the side that goes underground wasn't a garage. It's Mr. Oshi's house and incinerator. She speculated that if there was anything hidden in the medical department that people didn't know about, this was the only place she could think of. Chen responded that he understood and asked her to follow him. The scene then shifted to the virus research laboratory of the university, where there were numerous types of viruses. Seeing this, Chen was impressed and remarked that he didn't expect Jiangcheng University to have such a treasure. He then began absorbing all the viruses and noticed that most of them were the fluffy virus, but he didn't mind as it was still a university after all. Chen's screen showed that he had gained enough influenza virus, and the number of points needed to upgrade influenza to a skill decreased. Excited, Chen thought about giving it a try. After the upgrade, he successfully gained the influenza skill. In the influenza skill, it releases a flu virus that infects a target within its range, reducing all of the target's attributes and adding a negative condition. Additionally, it interrupts all chance, accumulation, and aiming when triggered. Reading about the influenza virus, Chen felt happy as it was strong, had interrupt capabilities, and offered powerful control, especially with the addition of the sneeze effect. Chen then realized that when he was going through the virus tree, he hadn't paid enough attention to the reality of the viruses, and it seemed that he needed to pay more attention to this aspect when upgrading in the future. Chen thought that the SSS level was indeed terrifying. He then realized that he still had some virus points left, and considering that the trial of the Goblin God must not be simple, he decided to use them to increase his strength. Chen then ordered to open the Blacklight virus skill tree. He unlocked 2 skills known as flying and concentration. In the flying skill, he could cling to any surface with the Blacklight virus, greatly enhancing his balance and sense of direction. In the concentration skill, it greatly enhances dynamic vision and reflexes, and doubles the ability to control all muscles in the body. Chen then wondered about the phrase all muscles and stood near a wall, contemplating its meaning. So he gave a touch at the wall, and with just one touch, the wall got damaged around the punched area. Seeing this, Mia got shocked and wondered how he could do that with just a touch. She even thought that it was a good thing Chen didn't use it before on her for romantic reasons. Otherwise, she would have been seriously injured or worse. On the other hand, Chen was happy to see that if he could control all his muscles, he could throw a powerful blow regardless of the size, and even a fraction of a millimeter was enough to deliver a full power punch. Suddenly, Chen noticed that Mia was blushing, so he asked her what she was blushing about. Mia responded that it was nothing. Chen then shared that there was nothing for him in the laboratory and asked her to go to Mr. Oshi's place. The scene then shifted to some time later at the teacher's repository. Mia was scared because there was no electricity. Chen asked Mia to be quiet and not to move as she could feel it. So actually, Chen could feel a strange vibe coming from the incineration room. So he opened the room and asked Mia to stay outside and not go in with him. Mia shared that she was scared. On the other side, Chen received a notification on his screen asking whether he wanted to enter the dungeon named Cold Incinerator. Chen responded with an absolute yes. On the screen, it was stated that a successful clearance could make it permanently exist, but if it wasn't cleared within 2 days, it would disappear permanently. Chen then realized that no wonder why he hadn't heard of it before. As Chen gets ready with his evolver form in passive mode, all the monsters start coming towards him, attacking furiously. The first mutant monster attacked Chen, but he easily defeated it with a claw slash. After killing the mutant monster, he gained 400 experience points. Surprisingly, the mutant was waiting for the first one to be defeated. After it fell, the mutant began to consume the second one to power up its attack. Suddenly, it unleashed a thunderstorm-like attack on Chen. Chen dodged the attack and remarked that he had been wondering why the mutants didn't attack him together. Now he understood that each mutant had different attack skills, and the second mutant's attack could hurt the first one. Despite the situation, Chen remained unfazed as the attack posed little threat to him. He retaliated with a powerful hammer hand punch, defeating the mutant. His screen displayed that he had vanquished a level 7 spiced infant spider, earning 1,000 points from the battle. Chen felt delighted, realizing that the dungeon was truly captivating with plenty of experience points to be gained. In a hurry, Chen shouted at the mutants to come as fast as they could. He proceeded to defeat them one by one, earning sometimes 400 and other times 1,000 experience points. Gradually, he dispatched dozens of mutants until finally receiving a notification that he had leveled up to level 4. As a reward for leveling up, he received 2 attribute points. Chen addressed the main monster, stating that he had defeated all of its minions and questioned why it hadn't come out yet. He even offered to help the monster come out, extending a hand in assistance. As Chen mocked the monster, suddenly a wall of the machine broke, and a massive meat-like monster began emerging from it. Startled by the sudden appearance, Chen felt tense and wondered how the meat monster could evoke such a strong sense of danger in him. He quickly formulated a plan to eliminate the monster before it could evolve further. Without hesitation, Chen launched an attack, but the monster swiftly defended itself with one hand. Undeterred, Chen attempted to infect the monster with his evolved flu virus once again. Chen's system notified him that the skill had no effect on the target. As the meat monster fully emerged from the machines, it transformed into a giant form. The monster retaliated with a powerful punch, sending Chen flying backward and crashing into the wall. Chen's screen displayed the monster's name as Biomaniac. Undeterred by the monster's fury, Biomaniac attacked Chen again, but this time Chen defended himself and counter-attacked with all his power. However, Biomaniac utilized his high-speed regeneration ability to swiftly recover from the onslaught. Despite the intense battle, Chen seemed oddly happy for some reason. He explained that he hadn't been able to fight with all his might since he had been reborn. Now, he was thrilled at the prospect of being able to unleash his full power in the fight against Biomaniac. Chen also mentioned that in a few more days, his hands and feet would become rusted. He revealed his plan to use Biomaniac to restore some of his strength. The fight continued relentlessly, with Chen launching attack after attack while Biomaniac continuously healed himself. After an hour of non-stop combat, they were still locked in battle. Chen was amazed by Biomaniac's seemingly infinite regeneration, wondering if there was any limit to it. Chen also activated his Hourglass Status Ready ability, allowing him to recover slightly before resuming his relentless attacks. He declared his determination to test whether Biomaniac was truly immortal or not. Another hour passed, and this time Chen stood calmly, observing that Biomaniac was taking longer to heal himself. Chen began to wonder if there was a limit to Biomaniac's regeneration, questioning whether the monster would eventually stop healing altogether. Another hour elapsed in their relentless battle, and this time Biomaniac's size had significantly diminished, leaving the monster lying on the ground. Chen, feeling a twinge of sadness, urged Biomaniac to get up and recover, expressing that he wasn't done playing with him yet. The fight continued at a slower pace, and after yet another hour, Biomaniac lay on the ground motionless, no longer glowing and reduced to the size of a small piece of meat. Chen observed this and realized that Biomaniac wasn't going to recover anymore. With determination, Chen decided it was time to end the chapter of Biomaniac. He stomped on Biomaniac, crushing it into pieces. As the dust settled, the screen revealed that Biomaniac was a level 8 boss, and Chen gained a whopping 10,000 points from defeating it. Furthermore, Chen leveled up from the victory, reaching level 5. Chen received a notification that the dungeon had been successfully cleared, and he now had the option to exit any time. His screen presented him with an intriguing question: whether he wanted to upload the clearance video as a paid video guide, with the payment going to the uploader. Chen agreed to the terms and requested to hide his appearance, name, and ID. The scene then shifted to Dongshan Villa, where Ziqiang was receiving a massage from Sujin. Suddenly, Ziqiang was shocked to see an announcement in the chat group. A person named White had uploaded the clearance video of the nightmare-level mystery dungeon called Incinerator, and the viewing price was set at 1 copper coin. Both Ziqiang and Sujin were filled with curiosity and decided to watch the video together. Meanwhile, other pioneers also tuned in from wherever they were. One girl was stunned by the speed at which Chen fought the monster. She had to slow down the video to observe it carefully. Some viewers were impressed by Chen Bai's skills, while others grew tense witnessing the monster's rapid recovery speed, questioning whether it was wise for Chen to engage in such a battle. However, a